All right, everybody, I've got my crazy rig and we are testing. This is the live rig in a non-live situation. Testing how it's going to work. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. You are going to see what I see through the viewfinder as I shoot. This is being recorded on the Atomos Ninja via HDMI. Now, what I see the problem with the live is you don't get to see any of the pictures until I do the after the fact video. But the valuable content here is you're going to see me live create the magic. So that's what it's all about. Yeah, man.
What's going on?
Say hi to the universe.
G'day, universe. How we doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, so you get to see my process live and, well, how I interact with the world. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, let's dive in. So, this whole thing is about finding cool shots. That's what we're here for. That's what I've been doing my whole life, is turning the ordinary into extraordinary. And that's been the joy of my life, to do that, to find interesting things in strange places. So, wow. So I've been down this alleyway before, and it's not normally full of cars. This is actually no standing, and people really shouldn't be here. But yes, something that I firmly believe in is there's interesting and exciting images everywhere you go. Now, in this situation, I don't want to have the cars in the shot, but I would need to stand on the road to make that happen. I've looked and nobody's coming at the moment, so we will get this shot. And I love the juxtaposition of a shiny city and all the crazy decay and weirdness that can happen. So here on one side we've got this crazy shiny building, and that's all very cool, and then on the other side we have derelict, as our friend Zoolander said. It's a derelict moment. Anyway, I have never seen so many vehicles in this street, but that's the way it goes. Now, here's something I find interesting. I always find rubbish bins interesting. Now, I'll tell you why I find them interesting, because they're colourful. And so here it's just about, again, the juxtaposition of objects. Why I like this stuff, I don't know. I've always liked this stuff. I've been shooting laneways since the late 80s, and it's something that I've always loved to do. And again, I think it's because of the juxtaposition. So, I do think there are beautiful things everywhere we go, and the most important thing we can do is to keep our eyes peeled. That's a cool door. Now, I haven't got review going on the camera tonight, unfortunately, so no review. This is nice lighting. I like what I'm seeing down here. So something I've always loved doing is creating a cinema level outcome without having a cinema level budget. That's always made me very excited. So how can we get that same level of outcome? How can we make something look cinematic without having a team of lighting people behind you? How do you make it look that good? It doesn't necessarily always end up like that, but it does a lot of the time end up like that. So as I was saying before, you've just got to keep your eyes peeled. You've got to look everywhere. I think we live in a world where we spend a lot of time looking at our phones. So photography, street photography, landscape photography, if that's something that you're interested in, then you've got to walk along doing this. You've got to have a curious mind. You've got to be looking everywhere. So the first part of the philosophy is really, more than anything, your mindset. Here's some more interesting light. So you've just got to keep looking all the time. Now again, what I love about this is a shiny building where it's had graffiti put all over it. And I love the juxtaposition. This is really interesting. This is like framed street art, although I wouldn't call this street art, I would call this tagging, but still it looks cool. So now what I'm doing is using the frame of the door in the viewfinder to create a natural frame within the frame, because I can see we've got a nice shape there. So that's something I'm always looking out for, is natural frames. Okay, let's keep moving. Just scouting. So not only do you have to have a naturally inquisitive mind, I think you also need to have a philosophy on the universe. You know, where are your values? What do you love? What do you like? What stories do you want to tell? You know, all that sort of stuff, because that stuff helps inform who you are and the decisions that you're making. And that's super cool as well, because then there's just a baseline. Okay, here we've just got some colour, and we love colour. Colour is always good. So you need to, oops. You definitely need to work out your baseline, and a lot of the time that might just be instinctual. What do your instincts tell you to do? And for me, I could always feel I was getting somewhere image-wise when I got a tingle down my spine. Okay, here we have a classic perspective image. And how do we make it interesting? Because we've all seen this sort of image a million times before. You might do something like a Dutch tilt. Let's go Dutch. And I didn't like those orange cones. So now through my 50mm frame, they are framed out. Let's make it a bit darker. So I've gone down to 200th of a second. Great. And another thing we could play with is depth of field. Although I think anything close to the lens in this particular case won't be interesting, so I don't think it'll work. No, not really working. I've done it, there's the shot, but I don't think that's the gig. Okay, so if you're going to do this sort of photography, and your passion, it might be birds, might be cars, might be motorbikes, might be people, but I reckon it's super important to work out what that passion is. What is that passion? Because this road of being a photographic artist, it's a very long road. It takes a long time to get anywhere and to find your way. And so what you're working with, what you're working on, you need to be very, very passionate about. Okay, I was just checking the time, we're 11 minutes in. Let's see if we can find another little laneway. It's very balmy here tonight in Melbourne. The sun set about 45 minutes ago. I just went to see the new Clint Eastwood film, Richard Jewell. I thought it was good. If you're into that sort of thing, I thought it was good. I thought Sam Rockwell did a great job. Okay, so the bushfires are still causing smoke in this part of the world, and we can pick up a little bit of that smoke here in this more extended streetscape. The lights are going to change and I'm going to get run over, so I've got to work out how to do this a different way. I can do this here. I'm going to stand on the footpath. I always try to get, I love getting people in action in the shots. Okay, we're just waiting on the moment now. Waiting on the moment. Mill doesn't feel long enough in this point, so we're going to keep moving, trying not to get run over by a tram. Crossing on the red man. It's basically an Uber driver just drove past and trying to pick me up. I think it's sort of stuff driving me nuts. Anyway, coming up on another laneway here. Oh, I always like shiny trucks at night time. That's always fun. All right, what have we got down here? We're not rolling. We are rolling. Okay. Now, of course, as we all know, we don't always get the images that we're after. It's just what happens. And this particular environment of looking for something in a given period of time while we live stream adds an extra level to the occasion, but that's okay. I love a good challenge. Here we go. Rankin's Lane. A good friend of mine lives here. Let's have a little look down Rankin's Lane. So this is my sort of thing. So now again, it's about perspective and making something interesting out of it all. I do love shooting at night, and this is something that still in 2020 I feel safe enough to do in Melbourne town. But there might be a time where that changes. It's hard to say. There may well, but it's a Thursday night and I'm out here on my own. I've got quite a lot of gear and I feel okay. But it's something that I want you guys to think about. Guys and girls, when I say guys, I mean everybody. Something I want you beautiful people to think about is safety. Please ensure that you think about your safety if you're ever trying anything like this. It's a big deal. I think the next version of this, I will choose a smaller area to photograph in, and that's how we might do it differently. I'm not sure I'm imparting a great deal of wisdom at this point in time, but I think the critical parts are be true to yourself. Make sure what you know you love to photograph. You really need to understand your equipment, especially when you're doing this sort of stuff. It's critical that you understand your equipment. And so this is an interesting piece of street art here. I actually photographed this for the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra when the artist put it in. You can see over there it says MSO. And I was commissioned to photograph this and the artist putting it together. Beautiful little piece. Let's do an in memoriam shot, an in reminder shot. Here we go. I don't normally shoot just street art. It's not my thing. I've been photographing the laneways long before street art was a thing. And so I just like the grunge and the juxtaposition. Well, that's interesting. That door's never been opened before. All right, I like the shapes. I like the colours. I like the dynamic range. We've got something happening here. I'm excited. We're going to expose for the interior because it's easier to bring up shadows than it is highlights, bring down highlights. And again, I'm trying to make shapes from the shapes that are here. I think the 50mm lens is not exactly the right lens. I'm just crouching down. I've got a lot of equipment, so it's a bit difficult. Okay, oh yeah. I do like this frame a lot. So if you look at the edge of my frame, which won't be apparent in the live stream, I'm trying to make things square. It's something that's super important to me. It's making things square. And then there is another joy that I absolutely just makes me float is bringing some form of symmetry out of chaos. And I think this is why I like the laneways, because there's chaos, yet there's beauty, and you just have to dig it out. Here it's about the textures for me. Okay. Alright, and I'm really liking this scene up here. I don't know if you can see it, but there is interesting building action happening up here. 13th of a second, as you can see, 13th of a second, 1.8. Got a bit of Billy Joel happening in the background. Okay, well, I was happy with those shots. Those last couple, they were fun. A little bit of Melbourne town action. Yeah, this is an interesting angle. There's probably something we could do with these bollards here and short depth of field. Oh. Getting down to the height of your subject is often a really critical thing to do. So again, there's a bit of a crouch happening here. Great stuff. Alrighty everybody, well thank you so much for watching this experimental live stream. Live but not live. If I have the heart, if I have the balls, if I have the courage, I will put this all up as one clump. So if you've seen this as one 21 odd minute presentation, because that's where the phone's up to recording, then you've seen it in one clump. And I'd love your feedback. This is an experiment and I've got to work out how to do it better. I will get the footage from the Atomos so you can see the pictures and the footage in the behind the scenes version of this. Let's work on this together. It can only get better. This is the first one. I thought it probably best not to do the first one live. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. It has been so lovely to see you tonight and for you to join me here in this humid, smoky city, Melbourne town, way down south in Australia, down under, mate. G'day. Love you, Cobber. Oh, geez, it's beautiful. There's so many watch out. You've got to watch those bloody flies. If you like what you see and you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Please share. Please like. I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback, any ideas that you have. Everything is welcome. And I'll see you soon. All right. Bye.